Welcome to U.S. History 1. In this course, you will embark on a journey through time, exploring the rich and diverse history of the United States of America. We'll learn about life in the English colonies before the U.S. became a nation and the events that prompted independence. We will study struggles of a young nation early in its history in its attempts to compromise on an issue that very nearly tore the nation apart. And along the way, we'll be taking a close look at the government and events that shape our lives today. Ready, historians? Today, we'll start from the very beginning. The first time humans set foot in what is now called North America. We're going so far back, there was no name for North America. So for today's lesson, we'll use names given to the continents by Europeans at a much later date. Our learning goals are to describe the conditions of the last ice age and its impact on migration patterns, describe the Bering Land Bridge and coastal migration theories, and describe the spread of peoples across the Americas. Over long periods of time, Earth's average temperature changes. A variety of geological events like earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and meteorite impacts can cause that. Many scientists believe that around 20,000 years ago, the Earth cooled, entering a glacial period or ice age. Temperatures were much lower, and there was a lot more ice, especially near the North and South Poles. Most of that frozen water came from the oceans, so sea level was lower. You may know that during low tide, there's more sand exposed at the beach than there is at high tide. Imagine how much more land would be exposed if sea level reduced by 400 feet. Continents expanded to larger sizes and bridges between continents were uncovered. People saw changes to their environments. In Asia, many plants died off because it was too cold. Animals that ate those plants migrated to warmer regions where there was more food. And many of the resources humans might have used were covered by snow. Archaeologists are scientists who study the physical remains left behind by ancient humans. They have uncovered fossils and artifacts that show evidence of humans changing behavior. They built warmer homes and made clothes out of heavy furs from animals like the woolly mammoth or the saber-toothed cat. Other humans followed those animals that migrated to new locations or went looking for new food sources. There are many theories about where the first people to inhabit North America came from and how they got here. But according to historians and scientists, two theories stand out as more likely than the rest. The first, known as the Bering Land Bridge theory, is the most widely accepted. Today, North America and Asia are not connected by land. The continents are separated at their closest point by 55 miles of water, a region called the Bering Strait. During the Ice Age, when sea level was much lower, land between the two continents was exposed and it was possible to walk from one to the other. When the bridge first opened, there were no humans in what we now call the Americas. But it is likely that during the period when the bridge was exposed, animals and humans walked across it into North America for the first time. You might be asking, wow, that's so long ago. How do we know that this is likely? Well, it's important to know that historians rely on archaeologists and scientists to help them analyze physical evidence. In this case, there is lots of evidence that confirms the theory. Human fossils have been found in Alaska that have been dated to the approximate time that the land bridge was open. Now, those people left behind homes and tools, and these artifacts were similar to tools used by people in Northeast Asia at the same time. Genetic testing of native people of 20th century North America shows commonalities, suggesting that they had common ancestors. And there are also similarities between Native American languages and those of the people of Northeast Asia. Now, with so much corroborating evidence, it's pretty likely that humans did migrate across the Bering Land Bridge roughly 14,000 years ago. The reason it's a theory instead of an accepted fact is that it's possible that people could have migrated even earlier, and we simply haven't found any evidence of it yet. The Bering Land Bridge theory isn't the only hypothesis supported by scientific evidence. The coastal migration theory involves a different story. This area is the Pacific Rim. Archaeologists have found evidence suggesting many people lived along the coastline of East Asia even before the Ice Age. And remember, as the world cooled, waters receded, and more land was exposed. It was easier to sail in the ocean when the waters were calmer. Throughout the Pacific Rim, a large brown seaweed called kelp grows abundantly. It's nutritious and can be eaten in a variety of ways. If in a changing climate, humans were worried about food, they may have included kelp in their diet. As they moved along the coasts, it is possible that they followed a kelp highway to the northeast, sailing along the coast of Asia, the Bering Land Bridge, and south, down the coast of Alaska and western Canada, eating kelp, fishing, and hunting seals. Fishing tools and boats on both sides of the land bridge are similar. And the genetic and linguistic similarities between groups remain the same. So this theory is supported by evidence as well. These early migrants, who some call the lithic peoples of the Americas, then spread throughout the western continents. These continents are home to many different environments, and the people who settled in different areas would develop distinct ways of life, something we'll take a look at in our next lesson. Within 1,000 years, most regions of modern-day North America were settled. After another 2,000 years, most regions of modern-day South America were inhabited, and the Caribbean islands would be settled later. Then the earth warmed up, ice melted, the sea level rose, and the land bridges were covered up. It became more difficult to travel between the continents, and American peoples became isolated from the rest of the world. Here, they developed distinct cultures and ways of life. Evidence indicates that the earliest inhabitants of the Americas migrated about 14,000 years ago from Northeast Asia. Now, the conditions of the last ice age caused humans to adapt. They began to develop warmer shelters and clothes and moved around looking for plants and animals to eat. Water and air across the earth cooled. The ice caps expanded and sea level lowered significantly. Now, this caused an expansion of land masses, exposing bridges between lands that were close together, like Northeast Asia and North America. Now, during this time, it was much easier to travel between continents by boat and by walking, and evidence suggests that both forms of migration occurred over long periods of time. Now, after the lithic peoples reached Alaska, the earth began to warm. Ice melted, sea level rose, and they spread throughout the American continents. Travel to Asia became more difficult, and the people of the Americas became isolated from the rest of the world. Next time, keep an eye out for the connection between the American continents and the peoples living there. Until then, historians, remember to always be clever. Hey!